Yes, we are.
Nice. This is on Twitch right now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right.
We'll see how many viewers we get. If we get a bunch, then maybe I'll start a giveaway of some sort, since we won't be doing one tomorrow.
How do I see it? I don't see it.
If you just go to Twitch. And,
Oh, I see it.
Yeah. Yep. Don't let the sound be on, though. It'll mess you up.
Got it. All right, so we're live, right? So
We are live. Live. Let me do a Facebook
for those
post.
folks who don't know, here it is, the week before Warzone. So if you're going to Warzone Atlanta, we are here based in Atlanta. Damien and I and Brad will be there at Warzone, working the event. It'll be the first time I haven't played in Warzone since we started this thing. So I'm a little sad, but I'm also very excited because we're going to be commentary.
It'll be the first time I have not played since I've been playing 40K. The first time I have not played as well in a Warzone.
Yeah. So this
And
is,
guess what? It will be my first time at a Warzone.
He's gonna be sad. He's not playing too. So we're gonna have the full setup there at Warzone. So we're gonna try to up the ante for Warzone. Also, get some really kind of quality streams in before we hit the pro tabletop next month. So live commentary. We hope you guys tune in and watch. We'll be streaming some great games, and Damien and I will be kind of man the booth, if you will, talking through that. So I wanted to kind of talk through Warzone in general for those folks out there who've never been or maybe are looking forward to it. We put together Warzone. I don't know. Is this the 5th or 6th year now? Thinking, how can we, make a premium event? We go to a lot of tournaments, and we always, talk about the events afterwards, what we liked, what we didn't like, how if we had anything we could want, what would we do, and we try to kind of incorporate that for Warzone. But we also wanted to kind of create and cultivate that family atmosphere, just as if we're playing at our own local gaming store or clubhouse, right? We're all friends, we're all family. Everyone, when we play tournaments and we go and see all our friends, it's this big gathering. It's almost like I tell everyone, a family reunion, right? You're seeing your good friends. So we want to kind of make that a big focus of Warzone, and we also wanted to celebrate the hobby. It's about the game. It's the love of the game. So we really take pride in the way we change the kind of the normal tournament scoring, and we have 4 equal winners. We don't just really have 1 or 2 winners. It's really 4 equal winners. Best sports, best painting, best general, and best overall, in the general terms. So all 4 of those prizes are ranked equally. We take sportsmanship, take painting, the hobby, all very seriously. Those are equal awards, just as well as if you dominated your opponents on the tabletop, or if you ranked high in all the categories. So that's really what Warzone is about. But
I mean, it's a hobby tournament, guys. That's the real thing about it. For those of you who don't know, it's all about, like Thomas said, man, it's about getting together, hanging out, playing a game that you love, and then celebrating those who are good at the game, who paint well at the game, who are the best people to play against at the game. Like, we being the best sports. I mean, Thomas, I guess Brad, too. Like, that's like the best. That's one of the highest accolades you can get. Is being a good team, being a good sport, right?
yeah,
I mean, we're valuing that very high at our event in December. That's sponsored by Pop Goes the Monkey, so huge shout out to them. I mean, we're doing $500 in cash, and I know he's working on some sort of trophy. So I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, and being a good sport. I mean, it makes people want to come to that event over and over again. So it's super important.
Yeah, if you think about it, right, like, that's exactly right. If everyone's playing to try to make it the most fun of Warhammer game you've ever had, but if you go to an event and everyone's trying to win your vote to be best sportsman, like, isn't that a place you want to go, where you want to play? I mean, people are playing very, very competitively. There's very strong opponents there. The missions are a little bit different than normal kind of ITC style missions, so you have a lot going on in the missions, but it does encourage really competitive playing. So you'll see a lot of different armies. You'll meet a lot of great folks. We build it as a premium event, so everyone has their own table touching, drink service to the table, so you'll get your own drinks, and then catered, lunch both days, so you don't have to leave the event, rush around. Food is there, and it's a nice meal, so you really get some time to kind of talk between rounds and
Talk
talk with
about
your
you
friends.
how you crushed or got crushed.
Yeah, it's a big family atmosphere. We're really looking forward to it. So, again, we're talking it up. We're really trying to up the game for Warzone this year with the stream and with Brad's help. Jamie and I doing some live commentary. I think we have the highest number of folks ever this year. We upped the cap to 200 folks, I think. We're just shy of that with some last minute churn, but it's real close. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody out there.
Yeah, it'll be sweet, man. It'll be sweet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Obviously, the last event that we really streamed was ATC, and that was kind of us kicking it off and trying to figure out the whole streaming 40K thing. And now we've been doing our weekly streams on Mondays, which we're going to be in a little hiatus for a couple of weeks, but we're going to be doing some rebroadcasts of ATC and some of our other games with people like Mark Perry and stuff like that. So there's still a lot of stuff that will go into that. But I think that I'm super excited to see, it's a completely different format than ITC, and we're trying to do some crunching, this week to make it viewable for everybody. But I think it'll be good practice and a good step, for us to get ready for our big event as well. I mean, we want to bring this hobby viewable to the audience, and every event is going to get us closer and closer to that.
Yeah, so if you can't make it to Warzone, I hope you'll tune in and watch some of the action. Obviously, the big tournament starts on Saturday and it goes through Sunday, but if you're there on Friday early, there's the Long Wars doubles going on, and I'll be there all day. We'll be streaming. I'll be just at the tables with Open Gaming, so if you're a fan and want to play or come out and hang out, we're going to be there playing all day, so hit me up, maybe we can get a game.
Yeah, you think you can beat Thomas the Bird?
So there's something else that's pretty cool. So I didn't even tell Damien about this. So Thomas, you're having a get together the night before that, and we're gonna have a lot of people, hopefully coming through your house and stuff like that. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to be able to stream, kind of some of the behind the scenes stuff, and talk to people while they're playing and hanging out on Thursday, and then also on Friday. From Warzone, as we're getting set up, the Long Wars double is going on, and then all these just fun, I guess, celebrity games, whatever you want to call them, are going on. But we didn't want to do an official full broadcast stream, so we've got a gimbal with a camera on it and everything like that, and we're able to stream directly from that. So we're going to be passing around that throughout these 2 days with a live stream going the entire day, both days. So more of the feels of an IRL type of stream, but it should get a really cool just insight and people to see what the environment's like and hang out with everybody and say what's up.
Could we even take some of that? Does it have to? I mean, is the camera recording too? Could we make a little mini, if people want to just see what Warzone over the course of that whole time, could you make that into a little movie, a mini movie or something?
Sure. You know how to use Premiere, right? You can edit it.
No, I meant that was the royal you. That was somebody else.
I think it's great to let everyone follow along with us if they are out there. Obviously, again, we kind of really want to make it the family feel, and if you've never been to Warzone, it's hard to kind of explain that. Where you have a really competitive event and nicely painted armies, but everyone's kind of welcoming and happy to have you there. So it's something we take very big pride in, and kind of that party ahead of time. I try to make sure everyone gets the red carpet treatment.
I mean, let's be honest though. There have been some emotions at Warzone too. I mean, we see people cry, we see people laugh, we see people,
have a few too many drinks. Yes,
we see people have a few too many drinks. Not gonna name any names. So, and we got some people. There's been some cool stuff like Adam Bromowitz, right? That was his first event where he wanted to go out. I mean, he made a whole podcast about it.
Yeah, the best generalist to kind of come and win grand tournament, right? Win Warzone was his really original.
Was his original thing was to win Warzone, and that's kind of where Red got his little worthiest adversary kind of title, right? Where he is the best general, and Red will be his worthiest adversary for that. To be able to, and so that's kind of cool. There's been these little things that have kind of frothed out from Warzone, these little competitions and stuff like that. So
That's right. So there's a lot of rivalries in the game. So we have a mechanism to kind of, tout that, and certainly, from a streaming content, we'll be playing that up during the events. But we have bounties. So you tell them about bounties.
I was just gonna say, I'm pretty sure Thomas Bird has never beat Damien Owen in a Warzone Atlanta.
We've. Why don't you tell him about that game? Why don't you tell him?
I don't need to tell him about that game, dude. I won it fair and square, dude. I can't help it that you were distracted. That's not my problem.
So we'll get to bounties here in a second, but let me sound a little bit about this game. And there's a certain someone out in the internet land, if he's hearing this, he'll know. He'll know.
Yeah.
But one of the things that they usually have there, I'm pretty well known here in this area. So certainly, if you come to Warzone, I'll be out and about shaking hands and buying you guys drinks. But one of the things that came up during that year was there's a scavenger hunt. So outside of the game itself and all the little mini games we have for prizes for folks, there was a bounty that was given. And I'll kind of go into what bounties are in a second. But this particular bounty had a list of activities that you had to do. And so whoever got all the check boxes on this little scavenger hunt was entered into a drawing between all the others who had that same score to win I think it was a fully painted army. I forget exactly what it was, but one of the check boxes was get a model signed by me. So you can imagine people coming up to me at random times, getting me to sign their model, which is a great honor. Someone's painted their models very well, spent a lot of time on it, and they're asking me to sign it. So I'm all like, oh, let me try to sign it, where it's not going to mess it up, or on the bottom of the base. And people are like, no, sign it right on the top, right on the front. Here, this giant knife, sign it on the shoulder pad. I was like, wow. So Damien and I, we're on the last round.
And we're both
3-1.
No, this was the last game of the tournament, right? So
there's only 5 games.
Yeah, so it'd be 3-1. Yep, you're right. We're both 3-1. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so we're both kind of pretty still in it as far as, maybe for overall, or, we're kind of in the running to, top of our groups, that sort of thing. And so we're playing, and Damien and I have been playing quite a bit. So we knew each other's lists, and we were so excited to play each other. And we're back and forth, and like it always is, it's super tight. Dice are doing crazy things. We're yelling, we're hollering, we roll around on the floor. And it comes down to the very last turn. And I've got to make this critical charge. He's playing AdMech. He's got a unit of robots. They're all lined up to shoot at me. I'm playing Ultramarines. I have Rowboat. He's doing what he does, trying to save the day. And I'm like, I've got to make this charge against this robot. And I don't remember how far it was. It wasn't that far, but this was it, right?
It wasn't that far.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 7 or 8 on the dice, and
something like that, yeah.
I've got to make this charge. If I make this charge, I win. I kill all the robots, and it's game over. But if I don't, Robo's kind of sitting out there in the wind, and Damien's full turn to just pepper him and kill him. And at that moment, and we're building it up, the momentum, the drama is high. I'm shaking the dice. It's here it comes. Here we go. And I'm like about to roll the dice, and someone says, "Excuse me, Thomas, can you sign my model?" And I'm like, and then mid shaking of the dice, I'm like, I don't want to say no, but I'm like,
now?
Are you right now? And he's like, yeah, I have to do it right now. They said we got to turn it in right now. And I was like, and I didn't really know how. I was like, he's serious. I'm like, I'm like, but this is a critical moment. Can you wait just a second? He's like, no, I need it right now. I'm like, okay, sure. So I put down the dice. I turn around, look at his model. I forget what the model was, but
I think it was a Tigurius. That's what I remember.
It was a Tigurius. So
I think,
of course, I'm signing Tigurius, and I give it back to him. He's super excited. He was like, "Great, thanks." But I don't think he realized necessarily how critical that moment was, despite my shocked look on my face. So we go back and we're like trying to recapture that moment that we were just at, but it was not quite as climactic. So I pick up the dice and I shake it and I roll, and boy, I did not make that charge, and I lost that game. David just looking at me and I'm like, "Oh, Tigurius," which is one of my favorite models. So I'm like cursing Tigurius. That is kind of. But yes, super fun. Damien did beat me, so I'll have my just desserts next time.
Yeah, absolutely will. And well, but that's just kind of a segue into what bounties are, though, right? Like,
yeah, so bounties. So we have lots of different bounties. I think we're actually going to be making some more of this. But typically, a bounty could be for anything. If you have a rivalry, if you beat Damien, because I don't like that guy, I'll buy you a beer. So anytime you beat Damien, come up to me and I'll buy you a beer. So those in internet lands, if you end up playing Damien this weekend somehow, let me know. I'll buy you. But yeah, anyone could kind of submit their own bounties. It could be buy them some dice at the booth or a ribbon. There may be like a bounty that players sometimes put on units. I don't like Thunderfire cannons, so every Thunderfire cannon you kill, I'll buy you a ribbon or a dice or something from the concession stand or from the store. I'll buy you a drink, that sort of thing. So you have all sorts of things. Some bounties are more
prestigious.
Yeah, some people will bring like Horton has really really involved in complex but awesome bounties where he's really big in corn. He loves his chaos. He loves his corn. So there's a trophy that he kind of has, a necklace of skulls that he hit the winner. That was everyone who beat the guy who was wearing the crown got to take the trophy with them, right? So the necklace of skulls, and I think it was John Lennon who won it last year. So I don't think he's able to make the event this year, but he's passing it back to the event. So whoever can kind of beat Horton will take the trophy, and then as that person plays, they beat, they'll pass that that trophy on to the next player, and then they become like the winner of the skulls for that year until the next Warzone. So it's kind of all sorts of different events. Again, it's kind of wide open. I invite you guys to take a look at it. Once you're there, we'll be handing out awards and announcing prizes for the bounties during the event. We usually have a big bounty board, which will have posters kind of displaying the bounties, so you'll have something kind of to play for in the middle of the game. Sometimes you have a game where you're not winning, or you're having a hard game of it, but there's still something you might potentially still be able to win just because.
And they'll do funny stuff too. Like you can do it's like you're going first, but or like you.
Oh yeah, it's called the gentleman, right? If you seize on somebody, but you decide not to actually go first, that's the gentleman. So you'll get some sort of prize for not taking to seize, right? So there's all sorts of things. I think the first year of Warzone when we started the bounties, I put up a bounty, and normally the bounty would be like the first three, maybe only one time, the first 5 people who do this thing, and then they'll take the bounty down. And so I was the first person who says, hey, there's no unlimited. I want an unlimited bounty. And I think the bounty that I put this on was like, this was back in the day where if a knight died, it exploded. Like on a 6, it was like the D weapon. It was back in 7th edition. So like a 6 would just automatically kill you. So I said, if a knight dies and explodes and kills another knight, I'll give you an award, right? So I'll give you, I forget what it was. It was like, you got some dice, you got a little ribbon, and you got a beer, something like that, or I got a drink. So there's like a lot of stuff for one time. And I'm like, how often is that going to happen in a game? That'd be a great time if that happens. What a story, right? In the first round, and that first year that we did that, I think we had like 120 players. It happened like 7 times in the first round. I'm like, what? So of course they call me up there, and I'm paying out everybody's bounty, and I'm hearing all their stories, so it's fantastic. I mean, one person scored it twice, so the knight fell, blew up on another knight, and then it fell and blew up.
That's
so
insane.
they were both playing knight, so they fell and fell on each other. So I was like, that guy got paid twice. He's like, do I get it twice? I'm like, absolutely. Credit card was getting hit. So I was like, wow, that was a lot. They're like, you want to turn it off? I'm like, no, man, just keep it going. How bad could it, that was fantastic, right? Second round, there was a lot of dice that year. So second round, it happened another 5 times. So it happened a total of like 17 times over the weekend. I think I paid out like $300, $400 in bounties just on that one guy. And I had like 10 bounties. It was crazy. So it was a fantastic time. And the best part about it was, after everyone did the bounty, I got to hear their story and meet them, talk to them, let them tell me, what exactly happened. So you always love sharing those war stories with everyone. But I got to hear some people that I didn't even know tell me their war stories about how this crazy, fantastical thing happened and how it turned the game, or how it's super exciting. So even though the guy got his night blown up, he was having fun, and they got to share in that. So it was really a good time. So we really love bounties. It's a little twist on the game that you can still have fun and win prizes and play, even if the game itself is maybe not going the way.
Yeah. We're gonna be just streaming one table. Is that correctly? Have we settled on that? Is that?
So I think the plan is for
we
two
can talk
tables.
about? Oh,
I
we're
think
gonna
the
do.
plan is for 2 tables. Is that right, Brad? Are we still doing?
That's the plan. To what extent?
So we're
it
only
is or
going to
how it's
comment
gonna work,
on
I
one
don't
table.
know.
We're only commenting on one table, but we will have a weatherman there. So if we need to switch to the other table, we'll have a guy there that's watching it and can kind of pop us in. So if I think we'll probably plan on just streaming one table. So unless that game is really a blowout or others want to see the other table, we won't switch. It'll still be playing in the background. You'll have 2 streams you can watch.
Yeah.
But we won't be commenting on the other unless
We won't be able to stream like 2 tables like live like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that requires 2 channels and everything, and double the amount of equipment, like computers and stuff. Whoops.
Oh.
So we are just
Coming to you
table.
live. Yeah,
Surprise.
I mean, like
Somebody on the
from
spot there.
like from like a technology standpoint, when you're streaming multiple tables, like you're never sending out like multiple actual streams. That's why we want to jump between them and just have them camered up or mic'd up or whatever, because what you're doing, essentially the reason that you don't want to do that too is you split your audience. Then it's very, very slim that people are going to go and open up two streams and watch them, especially if one is commentary and one doesn't. So if esports has done this back and forth, and they've gone from here's a single stream to multiple streams, and I've tried it myself, and we've seen that it hurts you more than it helps you, because there's so much more to pay attention to. There's so many more tech issues that can happen and stuff like that, and it doesn't bring anything at all. You're going to get way more value if I have a camera that can go and jump on any of the 100 tables at any point in time, and you're going to get more out of that 2-minute break from the main table onto another game with a weatherman than you are a top-down camera that's streaming the whole time with no context to it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
And what are we doing tomorrow? Who's playing tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're just doing a rebroadcast of something, because
I think
we're
they're scheduling
swamped. Yeah,
they got to get ready for Warzone. They got some work stuff that they're kind of sorting out.
Okay.
Yeah,
so.
the next 3
2
weeks
weeks?
for the next
So
3
weeks?
weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next time that we will stream a game will be on the 25th.
Okay.
Wes has told me he wants to come up for it. So Mr. Spaceballs, Wes Talley.
Okay.
He's
Nice.
part of the Team Army.
Okay. Yeah, Wes is very cool.
He was one of my ATC teammates. So whoever wants to play him that day, we can
Hit us up. You got 3
out.
weeks to figure it out.
Let us know. Yeah, if you're in the area and you want to play, let us know. Because I think that we're gonna try to do a serious kind of casting thing that day, more serious, and we might do some other stuff, not game related, going over things for the event, and then obviously the podcast we do that week will be super event focused with lists and possible matchups and format and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Somebody in chat asked when lists are going to be released for our event. So right now we are collecting lists still. There's 2 people that we're waiting to get lists from. And basically and just to put this out there, so lists were due November 1st. If you didn't have your list in, basically you start to accrue yellow cards. It's as simple as that until you get DQ'd. We have a hard cutoff of later this week on Wednesday that if your list is not in, you're going to be hit with the DQ. And then we will release the lists hopefully this weekend. We might just wait till after Warzone, so we don't take anybody's attention away from Warzone. So I would say that look to being next Monday. So in a week, making them public right after Warzone is done. And yeah, but we've done, I've personally looked over all the lists and found a couple little minor errors that have been taken care of. But other than that, everything's looking good from my perspective, which means nothing probably, but that's okay. There's nobody's like over 2,000 points. They don't have like too many detachments, like all the stupid stuff like that. Like I at least made sure that everybody's like list was formatted correctly. Now, if there's other little issues in there, I'm sure people could find them and let us know, but hopefully not. So yeah, that's what I would expect for that.
And you're right, Grant, Professor Grant. Watching multiple streams at the same time can be confusing for sure. You're right. But my list is yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where it could go that route like in the future, but I think that where Warhammer is right now, it really needs to develop as a watchable thing in general with a single stream before you add in more streams. Because sure, I can see like if you have right at our event, when it gets down to the brackets and there's 4 like tables right playing for the $5,000.
You want to watch all of those.
You want to watch all those, right? So, but with the way we're doing it, you should be very informed on what's going on within all of them. And if not, then we're not doing. Like, I didn't do my stuff correctly for visually, and then you guys aren't doing it from a,
broadcast.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I was actually messing with graphics and stuff like that and starting to work on a brand new layout and stuff for the event, and working with ITC battle app. So like, if anybody doesn't use that, you need to start using that, because that's an announcement that we'll have in a couple of weeks, that like that is going to be mandatory that we use that for all the score tracking and stuff, because that is going to literally feed all of our broadcast stuff, and it's going to allow everybody at home to see what the scores are of every single table live. So like that's just like, that's never been done yet. And I've got this layout. I've got one for Warzone that's kind of similar, so you guys might have seen it in the Discord, but pretty much where it has a border on the left hand side of the screen and the bottom of the screen that has a lot more information. So the camera is a little bit smaller. A lot of tournaments do this type of thing by making the camera smaller and stuff like that. But the reason that we're doing it is, when I've been watching these recent tournaments, the 2 biggest things that I've found, or I guess even just the one biggest thing, is it's very hard to follow what's going on stream in most cases, and it's very hard and impossible to know what's going on in the tournament as a whole. So like, to solve those 2 issues, it might not be 100% for this first event, but I think it'll be very, very good. So I want to alter the scoreboard, and initially my thought was to go away from what everybody else was doing with showing what the points were you're getting per round and having all this info on the screen and stuff like that. But after like looking at where we need to develop it to make it more viewable for everybody and understandable of what's going on, like right there and then. So I'm making the scoreboard so that it will have the CP, it will have the final, like the overall score, and it will have your turn-by-turn score, and then it will have all of your secondaries on the screen and how many points you have per secondary. So like that's on the screen at all times, and it's in a very digestible, like easy, sporty looking way. And that's kind of going across the bottom of your screen. And then on the left-hand side of your screen, it's going to basically be a live ticker that has 8 matches up at a time, and it's going to rotate between all the games. And it's going to literally have both player names and what their current score is. So you can, at any time, let's say there's 50 tables. Let's say, every 10 minutes, it's going to cycle through the whole thing. So if you're watching our stream for 10 minutes and you're paying attention to that left-hand bar, you're going to be able to see everybody's score of what is currently going on and which games are finished and which ones are still going on. So that's like cool. Just to have that like right there visually represented, it's really hard to do, because otherwise you got to click into BCP, you got to find the event in BCP, right? And then you got to go through, find the round, find the player, and then all you
sometimes
only
it won't
get it
even
when it's
load
done.
those. sometimes it won't even load like we're even talking about, like just to look at that stuff. Like it won't pull up what they're actually on BCP. It can get super annoying.
Right. And you don't, and it doesn't show their live scores. It's only when the game's done. So like Thomas, if you were off somewhere and I was like, dude, Thomas is off at, LVO and I want to see how he's doing. Like all I can do is find out when your game is done. Well,
Right.
in like situations like this, I can now literally follow along with my players live if I want to. And we hope that like for this first event, it's not something that we're going to have, but like all of this type of stuff, we're going to build it out to be like Twitch extensions or, website add-ons to where you can literally pull up our webpage and you can be like, select a player to follow and it will just literally show you their scoreboard and you can just follow along with that player while watching the stream. So it's just like, there's all that type of stuff that, is able to be done. And I think the first step of this is like huge shout outs to ITC Battle Apps for working with us on formatting stuff, how we need it for a broadcast, and then BCP helping connect that data as well. So the flow of it is like you get your pairings in BCP and everything like that. Well, all of that kicks over to ITC Battle App. And then in ITC Battle Apps, it's going to literally be like, you're going to pick your round, like your name will show up as a match. You're going to click on the match and then you're going to score in that. And as of right now, you're going to score individually on your devices, and then it's going to sync the data into one output and send us that one output. And then when they're done with their matches, they literally just hit the submit button, and it submits that score back to BCP. So now you don't got to go into BCP, enter it, do your pins and stuff like that. You do it right from ITC Battle Apps, and then boom, it's done. So those two apps are talking to each other, and they're basically feeding us all the information for the broadcast. So it's something that's absolutely amazing. And obviously, we've got a lot of testing to do the couple weeks before the event, but between our programmers and theirs, I know it's going to be absolutely insane how it works.
Yeah, I mean, on top of the 5,000, right? So for Pro Tabletop and all the prize money for the other players, we're really trying to up the game, right? We're really trying to bring you something you guys have seen, make this Pro 40K a reality, and make Warhammer something that's more appealing and watchable for the masses.
Yeah, so somebody in chat asked,
I was gonna answer Doho right there. So like Doho, as in response to you talking about audio versus players. So we found kind of, if you look at ATC and you go back and you kind of watch that broadcast, or if you look at any of these other broadcasts, like, and this isn't a slight towards Frontline Gaming at all, but when they used to do their, I don't even know if they still do theirs, but watching two people just sit there and play the game and them talk about it, boring. Gosh, somebody stick a shotgun in my mouth and blow my brains all over the wall, please.
Well,
maybe that's if Damien's playing.
But you hear that from a lot of these top players. They're like, I love Warhammer, I love everything about it, but I physically can't watch it because it's boring, and for multiple reasons. And obviously, it's the steps we're trying to take. Like we keep iterating on this and saying like that's what we're trying to fix. So personally, like the audio on players versus casters, you have to have like the perfect mix, and there's several ways to do it, and it's something that we talk about and we experiment with. And the two kind of ways that you can do it is so the casters, while they're talking, they have a feed in their ear that you don't hear to stream, and it has the players' mics in it, so they know what's going on. So that's kind of the trick around it. So they can always hear what's going on, and then it's up to them to digest that and talk about it or reiterate it, blah 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 blah. And then there is also moments where, like, if they're in the shooting phase or they're in the fight phase, where it could just be better to listen to them, and that's where the casters need to be like, hey, you know what? Let's just listen to the players for the next 5 minutes during this phase, and then boom, the casters get a break. The viewers get to really understand what's going through their mind when they're doing stuff for whatever the moment or phase it is that they're in. And then it's like, boom, they do that. They talk for a little bit. All right, guys, we're back. You just saw that happened. Well, that was absolutely stupid that he moved a guy there. And then now, boom, the casters put in their thoughts. And, that also then gives you a way to switch from table to table as well, where it's like you can go into a listen in on that table, and then the casters can come back and be like, wow, that was crazy. Well, they're going to be doing their morale and movement. Well, while they're doing that, let's go check in with this other table because, Bobby's down on the floor and it's absolutely insane. Bobby, tell us what just happened. And then boom, that floor person gives you a recap of like, this is what's going on here, yada, yada, yada. Now the casters go, okay, I just got the 30-second recap of what we missed for the past 15 minutes on that table. And now you stay on that table and you cast it for 5 or 10 minutes, and then you do the same thing and you listen to the players, and then you just go table to table like that. So there's always fresh data the entire time coming in, and it's really just the synergy of like setting up, and we don't have to get complicated with it, right? Like we could literally just set up a flow and say, look, you guys are going to talk whenever you think that it's time to listen to them, or the person on the floor says we need to switch tables, or the producer says we should switch tables because it just seems boring. Then we go, okay, listen in, casters, floor person, switch tables. And as long as we have the setups for every single step that happens, it'll work.
So, and and you are right, Brad, exactly for that. And I also think, so Thomas and I are putting together a couple things that I think, I mean, our job literally for doing this, yeah, we're watching a game and we're like kind of explaining what people do or why they're doing things, whatever. We're like kind of breakdown analysis of different things. But overall, like we've been talking about, the main purpose of this is to make it fun and like exciting. And so Thomas and my job will be to entertain you guys on top of you guys already watching an awesome game that with these top tier players, right? Like, so that's going to be a big thing. And Thomas and I are working on some things that are going to be super exciting for you guys when you're watching it and stuff. And hopefully get you guys involved and past just watching the game. So it's we got some things in the works. We were talking about just the other day, huh, Thomas? We got some pretty cool ideas. I think so anyway.
We do, and we're gonna showcase some of that stuff at Warzone and building it up, and certainly, kind of just talking through that. We've been doing some let's play broadcasts on the last few Mondays, so you should be able to see some of those videos up on Tabletop, just to kind of as we kind of practice and maneuver around some of that when we're talking, when we have people that are playing actually talking, where we're commenting in the background, we're interacting with the live stream. So lots of fun there. It's very casual, but it's also very fun to watch. And so we want to bring that, and then obviously we're going to have a lot more production going into the main event. So definitely, if you haven't seen it, go check it out, and then look forward to more at Warzone, and then obviously at the big show at Pro Table.
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna be fun.
There's a million ways you can go about it, and it's testing stuff and finding out what the sweet spot is, right? Like if we go and we do a professional broadcast with less talking to the chat and everybody that's viewing's like, man, I wish there was more interaction like there was on their weekly streams, then we just literally go, hey guys, let's have more interaction. Here's how we do it. And or if people go, hey, there's too much interaction, we want to hear more analysis and specifics on why things are happening, then then that's on Thomas and Damien to make that adjustment based on what people are asking for and stuff like that. And I think that's the exciting part about this is there's no right way to do this. There's no staple point like there is with so many other things out there, right? Like sports and esports. Like this is essentially like the start of it. Like, yes, there's been a lot of streams and stuff like that, but nothing is a solid like here is how it works. Everybody's trying different things, so that leaves the doors wide open for us to say, here's how we think it works based on experiences and testing and stuff like that. And now it's not to say that it's not going to be 100%, but we can go into it, and then the day one we can say, hey, we learned these 10 things day one, and it could be completely different day two and a million times better. Like that's just like how these live environment things work.
Think of us like Nurgle, guys. We're constantly trying to adapt and embrace change.
I don't know that I want to be represented by Nurgle. I think that metaphor fell flat on its face.
No, dude, that's exactly what they do, man. Golly.
So I'll talk about one more thing about the Pro Tabletop event, and then I want to kind of just step through like how Warzone works and how it's different from ITC for all those people that don't know from rules and missions, to just kind of go through that real quick for people in like the last 15 minutes. So I went by the venue and everything like that, and we finalized the layout and stuff like that. And then I'm happy to announce that the venue has some really cool stuff. They got like
this is for Pro Tabletop.
Pro Tabletop.
The Atlanta Open, right?
Yeah. So the Atlanta Open in December. So they were working on getting their liquor license and stuff like that, and they got it all, and they're opening up their bar inside the venue. So they're going to have full food and full bar and stuff like that. And when I have more info on like what the menus look like and stuff like that, it's something I'll send out to everybody. But it's going to be really cool. Like, I mean, they're going to, if you go to Giga, you're very familiar with, people like going placing your order and they bring it to your table. You're used to that kind of thing. But if you're not used to that, you know, you go and place your order, you could go back and play. They'll bring you your food. They're going to have people walking around asking you if you want any food, if you want any drinks and stuff like that, and then serving you right to your table. So very similar to what you guys do with Warzone with your drinks and stuff like that. But the venue, we're lucky enough to have a venue that has all that kind of built into their infrastructure. So it's going to be just something really cool. Yeah, so that's fun.
Awesome.
So, Thomas, what would you say are some of the, like in the missions, for example, just, you know, in the 14 minutes worth of.
Wait, I have images.
Oh my gosh, he's got images, guys.
All right, so
Yeah,
I got the.
let's put it up.
I got the. Bam! I got the rules up right now. So there's like 3 pages of rules, just kind of how stuff works. It's a lot of text. But if you want to just summarize, like, if there's anything different from deployment or setup and stuff like that.
Yeah, so certainly if you haven't played or seen Warzone missions and you're only familiar with ITC, there is quite a bit of difference here. Each mission is its own specific thing. There are some things that kind of carry over, but for the most part, they're very different from basic ITC. So you do have Relic missions, so kind of taking some of the book missions. If you haven't played a book mission in a while, Relic is one of those type of missions where only infantry can score it. You can pick it up and move it. You're pretty specific on how the relics work. You'll have kind of basic retrieval missions where you're doing kind of aggressives, scoring every round, and then you'll also have end of game scoring. So each mission kind of has its own specific layout, and we'll go over that. You do have fixed deployments on all the missions at Warzone this year, so every mission will be specifically set up for a specific deployment type. And then we do go back and forth. So we've had a lot of folks who love full deployment, where one person wins the role and they deploy their whole army, and then the second person counterpoise. And we have a lot of people who really prefer the I put one model down and then you put one model down, alternating and getting a +1 or so.
What do each one of you guys prefer, by the way?
I mean, quite honestly, I like both. I think they both are good. I don't have a preference
For how to
necessarily.
deploy?
Yeah.
I like.
What do you
I
prefer?
like full deploy.
Okay.
Yeah, and at pro tabletop, they're all full, right? So, but at Warzone, they're I think there's 3 of one and 2 of the other. I forget exactly which one has.
I like it
you'll
literally
have
from just a time perspective. I think the back and forth just takes so much longer.
That's true.
So talk about kill points, how those work.
Yeah, so it's very. There's a lot. Sometimes Warzone missions get kind of talked about being a little too complex, or you got to have a couple degrees to kind of work through it. And if you never played it, certainly the first time you walk through it, it can be confusing. We play it a lot here, so we kind of take it for granted. But we have a number of different ways to calculate kill points, and those are used in different games. So you'll have to look at it very closely. Is it Warzone kill points? Is it normalized kill points? Is it I think it's called regular kill points, or just kill points. So Warzone kill points is based on a scale. So characters add +1. So if you're over a certain amount of wounds, you get +1 for every 8 wounds. So certain things like a knight, for example, could be 4 or 5 kill points, whereas a small unit of Nurglings, maybe 1. But if you have a big unit of Plague Bearers, that may be 2, right? So it kind of tries to weight and account for units to give them a certain amount of kill points. So sometimes in a round, you'll have to be the first person to score 6 kill points, and you'll get a bonus. Usually all the kill point stuff is really relegated to the secondaries, but I think there is one mission where it's normalized kill points. So normalized is really based on how many points have you killed of the opponent's army. So if I've killed 530 points, you round to the nearest 100. So at that point, I'd get 5 kill points, 5 victory. So depending on how you do that, you have to kind of conform to a chart on the table for primary objective. So another thing that's different with Warzone, instead of doing a round by round scoring, you have an end of game calculation where you calculate your score. Some things you kind of track. I've killed your warlord. I've gotten first blood. I've killed some points for secondary that I know I've already scored. But the primary mission is always kind of how much did I score and how much did the opponent score, and then now let's look on a table and see what that translates into. So there's a margin of victory that's really different than other games, and what it kind of does is allow a game that's really close to not just turn into like a 30-0 win, because there's a margin of victory. If you just barely beat your opponent, it doesn't seem right that you should just automatically lose that. So that's one of those things where we really build that into the missions. Kelly Wallace, the TO of Warzone, he builds all of these missions, and so he really takes a lot of thought into it. And most of the missions are made where it's very, very difficult to get a max score. It's not meant for anyone to just walk in and just table their opponent and automatically get max score. So some people kind of take umbrage to that. I just crushed my opponent, I should get the max score. Or he just quit in the middle of the round and he killed all my troops, but I've tabled him. You don't automatically win.
Yeah,
that's the case.
And it also has to do with sometimes for winning the missions, some of the missions incorporate, I don't know if they do this time, but some of the missions incorporate like having fast attacks or blah blah blah, in your list design to be able to like get extra points and stuff like that, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, you don't usually see a lot of fast attacks, so it is interesting for that.
So go into mission one. Mission one is on screen. Tell us all about it.
The other thing is variable game length, by the way. This is.
Oh yeah, so if you're used to ITC 6 full turn lengths, that's not the case with Warzone. Play random game lengths on every mission. So on turn 5, you start rolling. So that you kind of have to, kind of play. If the game is end game objectives, you might have to jump on that objective on turn 5, hoping that the game ends. But it may put you in a bad position if it doesn't. Turn 6, you could get shot off.
And then the last part about that is the cover. Cover works like it's literally if you are 50% obscured by your own models, you get cover.
So. There's a little bit of addendum at Warzone. If you haven't played at Warzone, there's a little bit more leeway for cover. We have a special addendum that kind of covers if you're 50% obscured, full stop, you get cover. So I mean, a vehicle behind a ruin, he doesn't have his any part of the vehicle inside the terrain, but you can just barely see it. Over 50%. That's pretty common. I'm behind a hill, not on the hill. I'm just behind
his own models.
Yeah, I have another tank in front of my tank, right? I stack a rhino right in front of my other rhino. That back rhino's getting cover, right? So I mean, it makes it a little bit more. I have to look and have line of sight and tactical. So even on a table with maybe not as much terrain as you'd like, you still have ways to creatively give yourself cover or use your other models and intervening terrain to get cover. So that's a big change for Warzone. That's a little bit different than the full kind of GW ITC.
Anyway, we can go back to mission 1 then, I guess. But yeah, those are the 2 little snippets. We only got 6 minutes.
All right, mission 1. No, you got 12.
I thought it was 8:34.
Well,
8:30.
We've only been live for 48 minutes, so we're good.
Oh, my bad, dog. My bad.
All right,
That's what happens when you show up late to the party.
So yeah, here we go. Let's do this. Mission 1. So we'll talk about it all here.
Full deployment.
Full deployment. Yeah. So you have again fixed deployment. So we're playing
the Brad's happy
here. Full deployment is Brad style. This is primary objectives, normalized skill points. What I was talking about, where for every 100 points, you get 1 victory point. So again, victory points are used to calculate the primary objective. And if you look down at the kind of examples here on the screen, I'm a player A. I score 1,760 points. I've killed that many points of your army. We have to do some calculation to kind of figure out how many points I've calculated up. I've killed 1,760. That equates to 18 kill point. Your opponent, he's killed only 149 points. He got wrecked. But 149, that equals 1 point. So now we look at it. Player A's got 18, player B's got 1. The margin between those two is 17. You look down at the chart. If I've got 15 or more in that difference, I win 18-0. So
with a triumph,
he's got the full triumph. The primary is always worth a max of 8. So if you start going through the primary, secondary, and tertiary, the missions equal up to a full 33 points. So you always can get up to 18 in the primary. But if you kind of look through that scoring, 18, 14, 12, 10 to the winners, draw on a 7, you can still pull out a small loss and then kind of take the secondary and still win. So sometimes you look at that primary, you're like, I'm going to have a hard time winning that primary, but I could really own the secondary. It may be worth, trying to minimize that and then just go for the win on the secondary. So it's very interesting to kind of look at both of the objectives and see how that equates to your arm. You always have a chance. So in this particular mission on the secondary, it's table quarters. So to control a table quarter, you look at the number of wounds in that table quarter. So if I have 10 Primaris guys in that table quarter, they're 2 wounds each. That's 20 wounds in that table. Yep. So you calculate that. Who has the most wounds? If their objective secured, so actually that Primaris squad, intercessors of 10, they count double for the number of wounds. So that 20 wounds would actually be 40 wounds. So if I've lost 3 guys, I only got 7 guys. That's 14 wounds, double that. That's 28. So kind of go through that. Each quarter is worth 2 battle points. And if whoever has the most gets 1 extra battle point. So the most you could score on the secondary objective is 9. So
and we do require when you're actually playing those missions, by the way, as you're counting up the wounds, to do it like the count on Sesame Street.
One. No, and to see, like, to get all 9 points, the maximum, you would have to control 3 quarters, and to get 9 points, right?
Bingo.
Yeah, so that's quite a bit.
Next mission.
Actually, you have to get all. No, you have to control all 4, right? 2 for each one. You have to control 4 quarters to get 8 points. So you really have to dominate.
Yeah, you have to really dominate.
So if you y'all kill each other out and you don't have enough models to even get into a quarter, and if no one's in a quarter, no one gets those points, then yeah, that's how it works. So another thing on the tertiary objectives, there's 3 things. We do alternating first blood. Mm-hmm. We do line breaker, and we do slay the warlord. So line breaker and slay the warlord, most people know how that works. Each one is worth 2 points. But if Damien and I were playing and I killed his warlord, killed mine.
Not possible.
We would not both get 2 points. Yeah, exactly, because I play rowboat.
I was gonna say because he can never kill a rowboat. That's why it's not possible.
Yeah, that's your mind. I kill rowboat every dadgum game.
But if we both kill each other's warlord, we split that. He would get 1 point, and I would get 1 point. Similarly with alternating first blood, unlike kind of first strike or traditional first blood, it's not limited to the first battle. So it's if we both go the first turn and we're playing cagey, or we just have a bad run of dice, or maybe your opponent just made a ton of saves. If neither of you kill anything, then first blood rolls over to the next battle round. So it's the first turn. It's the first battle round someone scores. If they score it, you get a kill. Then your opponent has that same battle round to get a kill also. So if you both get it.
Yeah, so if your opponent doesn't do it in the first, if your opponent goes first, and then he doesn't do it, and then you do it, bam, you get 2 points.
You get 2 points because you got it during that battle round and he did.
Yeah.
But if you
or
both
she,
get it,
he or she.
Yeah, if you all both get it, then you'll split it 1 up. But it could go turn. I've had games where I've gone to turn 3, round 3, where before we got our first kill. So it's pretty interesting. You're not limited like ITC where you have to kill something in the first round every turn. You don't have to kill something to score points. That's not how the Warzone missions are set up. There's not kill more, hold more, that sort of thing. Sometimes end game objectives, you don't want to really rush out there too early and expose yourself. So you have a lot more strategic options that you're kind of running through when you play the game. It's very different kind of style to ITC. Sometimes you be coming in playing ITC a lot, you switch to Warzone missions, it's really a different mindset. So sometimes different lists that are really great for ITC don't really work as well in the Warzone format. So look for some really fun and interesting game you're used to watching.
Mission 2 is up.
All right, so mission 2. So again,
Rover.
We're swapping. Red Rover's a favorite around here, or maybe a dreaded one if folks don't play Relic or know about the Relic very often. This is one of those where your list choice could potentially hurt you, because Red Rover is all about relics. There's actually 3 relics, and relics can only be picked up by infantry. And the way you score on the primary is you get points by controlling the objective, and then you get points by moving it, and where it ends up at the end of the game. So at the end of the game, if it's in your opponent's zone, you get extra points. So you want to kind of pick that football up and move it towards your opponent's end. So that kind of causes the game to really be, you're interacting right there with your opponent. You're moving this objective. They're trying to stop you from moving it. They want to pick it up and they want to move back. So you're forcing that conflict in the middle. You can't really afford to sit back and just shoot. Right? A big cow gun line doesn't really like the Relic. If I just sit there and shoot you all day long, but I never move up to grab the objectives to push them forward, they're not going to score very high, right? So it forces you. If you play all knights, no infantry, well, guess what? Those knights, they might be able to score the objectives, but they sure cannot pick them up. Vehicles cannot, and bikes, cavalry cannot pick up the Relic. So it really kind of forces you to covet those infantry models in your army and use those to push the relics up. And that's a strategy. I just kill them. I just kill your infantry.
And by the same token, if you have a very beefy infantry unit, well, they're just going to run those things right into their deployment zone. There's nothing you can do.
That's right. Some armies, like a unit of grotesques, some big, that's a perfect example of that unit wants to just move forward and
or Blight Lord Terminators.
Get rid of. Now they can just run up and grab that objective on their way to go eat your lunch, right? So certainly something to think about. Secondary for this mission is Warzone kill points. So again, Warzone kill points are calculated a little bit differently. There's a table at the beginning that shows you how you calculate Warzone kill points. This is a kill point contest. So for every Warzone kill point you earn, you get 1 up to a maximum of 6. So just by killing stuff, you'll get points. And then whoever at the end of the game has the most kill points, you get an extra bonus 3. Pretty straightforward.
And then tertiary normal.
And we always, the tertiaries follow through on every single mission. So you always have alternating First Blood, Warlord, and Linebreaker. So you don't get to pick those. They're always there. So there's nothing that you pick like ITC.
Number 3.
All right, number 3.
Take everything!
So you see it's take everything too. A lot of these missions, last mission was Red Rover 3, we've kind of, Kelly has taken feedback, tweaked the mission slightly, maybe changed the secondary to kind of, this is the evolution of this mission. So we do the second version of it. So what is this mission called when it's pointy, hammer, and ammo? Never know.
Dude, it's called Front Line Assault.
Why do you say it like everyone should know that?
It's not. It's not. That's a lie. It's Spearhead. Sorry.
Spearhead. Look at you.
Spearhead Assault.
So
because we've only been playing these missions for like 2 years, so yeah.
We always have like our special name.
Pointy hammered anvil.
So full deployment on this. So again, we're alternating between missions, and so this will be like the last game of the first day.
Mm-hmm.
The primary is progressive objectives. There's going to be 6 objectives set up, fixed. They're fixed in one in the center of every 2x2 section. 6 objectives evenly spaced around the board. And then at the start of round 2, you'll start scoring progressive objectives. But it's a little bit different. You don't just score points for every objective you get on. You have to kind of, at the start of your turn, look and see how many objectives is my opponent on right now and how many do I have. And you'll score points then. Up to 3 total points. 1 for just having 1. 1 if I control more than 1 than my opponent. And then if I score at least 2 more than my opponent, I'll get an extra 1. So up to 3.
Oh, and if they control the objective and you take it from them, you get a point as well. You get an additional point.
Is that on here?
Yeah.
No, that's not on here.
What? I just read it.
Am I
If the
missing?
player controls at least 2 more... nope, you're not. I'm so sorry. Everybody calm down in the chat.
That's a different objective. It's a different mission, I think.
Listen, everybody just pump the brakes. It's fine. That's not on there.
Secondary is a decimation. So this is an interesting one. Some armies, they may only have 1 other battle role other than HQs, but it's pick a battlefield role: troops, heavy, elite, and it cannot be HQ. And then at the end of the game, you're gonna look at your opponent's army and you're gonna pick. And so you'll want to score.
It's like Mark for Death.
Yeah, it's kind of, so if I killed one of those things, so if I say I want to pick your troop, so as long as I kill 1 of your troops, I get at least 3 battle points.
Yep.
At the end of the game, if I've killed more of your troops than the selection that you pick, maybe you pick my elites. So if I kill more of your troops than you killed of my elites, then I'll get 6 points. And if I killed all of them and more of them, then I'll get 9 points, right? So it starts to become a tricky thing. How many choices do they have in their army? What choices are they going to pick in my army? Can I protect my choices versus, destroying theirs? So you start now having to be very cagey, and depending on what they picked and what you've picked, how you manage that second. So it's interesting. Because sometimes you'll like that unit that you use as a screen or as a very important unit that is up in the front lines fighting. Maybe that's the unit he picked, and now you got to be thinking about, hey, do I really want to screen with that unit? Because I'll give up something for the secondary, and I don't want that unit to die. So it could change the way you play.
Oh, show.
All right, round 4.
This is day 2.
Some people talking about playing in another tournament, watching the stream. Yeah, so day 2, we're walking into, this is where we start doing groups. So after day 1 at Warzone, and I don't know if it's called groups or brackets, so Kelly probably shoot because I should know. And he's very specific in his terminology. You'll get placed in, I think it's brackets for day 2. So everyone will be placed in their brackets based on how they did day 1. And now day 2, your kind of record is wiped clean. So based on everyone in your group, day 2 bracket, you'll be playing a brand new tournament, kind of a little mini tournament in itself. And whoever has the best day 2 will win an award. So you'll kind of just be playing normal games. You'll be matched up based on your overall score, but in the bracket, you'll know who's in your bracket, so you'll know who you'll have to beat as far as day 2 points. So if Damien's in my bracket that day, maybe I went 2-1 and he went 3-0. Doesn't matter. Now we're on an even playing field, and I score 50 points over the last 2 games, and he only scores 48.
Not possible.
And I win the bracket. So that's how that works.
Are you ready for mission 4?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mission 4.
I love, and just a note on that, I love that part of Warzone formats is that bracket. I won my last one at Warzone Giga. I love it.
Yeah, so I mean, we want to give everyone a reason to keep playing. We're very prideful that we don't have people drop. I think the only time we had someone not show up for our next game is if they maybe had a little too many drinks the first day. But usually everyone always comes back for day 2. They finish out all the games. There's nobody dropping from a tournament perspective, because there's a lot of prizes that we hand out the most kind of percentage of people attending prizes. We have prizes for everything. So we want you to really play, have a good time, have a chance to win something. Just because you lost the game doesn't mean you're out of it by any stretch of the round. So round 4, we're back to full deployment. This is a Vanguard strike. And this is now 4 objectives. This was interesting because you're going to place 2 objectives and your opponent's going to place 2. One of yours has to be in your deployment zone, and one kind of has to be in no man's land on your side. And the opponent's going to do the same thing. And the big thing about this one is you're scoring those objectives at the end of the game. So you're trying to get those objectives. You want to be on them at the end of the game, and they're worth different amount of points. So the objectives in your opponent's board edge are worth more, right? So
if you control the one in their deployment zone, it's worth the most.
It's worth 7, right? And so if you control yours, it's only worth 1, right? So you really want to kind of push into their deployment zone, which can be tricky for some armies. And then you also got to defend yours, right? You don't want them to get in yours 7 too. So it's very interesting. A lot of Warzone missions force you to move. They force you to be very mobile in your projection of your force. You can't just sit back and shoot. You have to be able to run up and grab objectives late game, and sometimes that can be tricky for someone.
For sure. And the secondary on that is just kill point race. It's the first that gets 6 kill points. You'll get an additional 3.
Yep, and this one uses standard kill points. So that's every unit you kill, whether it's a knight or a unit of brimstones, is worth 1 standard kill point. So the first person to get to 6 gets the bonus 3 points. So if you only kill 5, you don't get bonus 3, but you do get 5. So it's just it's pretty straightforward.
And then the last one,
round 5. So this is where all the marbles are. So this is where it's interesting, because these missions were picked specifically to kind of, if the game is tight, if the race is tight, top players, and they're trying to now play for the last round, what you kind of sometimes see is you don't want someone to just submarine and then all of a sudden they just max out in the last round and jump up over some players that are really playing at the top tables. So, again, I kind of talked about the missions being very difficult to get max points, and round 5 is one of those missions where you really have to play to get a top score. It's got to be very, very hard to do that. So, looking at the mission, so primary mission, just from a spacing perspective, is kind of shifted right here. It is again 6 fixed objectives. Actually, are they fixed? Per step 2 of the setup.
Deploy their units. Each player chooses through their. Oh, you're talking about.
I think these are placed. These are player placed. So there's 6 objectives. Yeah, each player places. Yes. So this is an interesting one because this is progressives, but with a little bit of a twist. So progressives on turn 2 at the beginning of the round. So not at the end of the round. You can't just jump on it at the end and score. You have to be on the objective when the round starts to score. But this is different because you can only score each objective one time. If you score it during the first time, if you're the first person to score it, I should say, you get 2 points. If you're the second player to score it, you get 3 points. So there's a little bit of back and forth. Do you want to score it now and potentially risk your opponent making it over to that objective and scoring it later to get 3 points, or do you wait and risk not scoring it at all and give up that chance to score? So very interesting. And this is one that rewards you if you have a fast attack. That one will always score 3 points on the first round. So if you have some fast, you can easily go score it. But there's a risk to taking some fast attacks. If your opponent kills that fast attack, they will get 1 point. So a little bit of a reward and a little bit of pro and a little bit of con there. So interesting. So you want to score. And again, victory points for primaries are always kind of calculated on a table. So you kind of go back to the margin of victory chart and you want to see. I scored 12 victory points throughout the game. My opponent scored 18. We'll go to the table. I won by 6. Now, you look what that actually turns into. So, not a straight score. Very difficult to get max score on this objective if the opponent is scoring any objectives at all. You really have to kind of see how that works. On the secondary, this one is actually marked for death. So you're just going to pick 3 units. Just 3 units and kill them. You get points. And then you really want to compare that to your opponent. So I kill 1, I get 3 points. I kill all of them, I get an extra 3 points. If I kill more than my opponent, I get 3 points. So the most you can get is 9. And you really could easily get 3 or 6 depending on how many your opponent gets. If you both kill all of your marked for death units, the most you can get is only 6 points each. Because you killed 1, you killed all, but you didn't kill more because you got the same. So it's interesting. Sometimes very difficult to get full points in this particular objective, depending on which you pick. And again, that could be a knight, which seems very difficult. I necessarily wouldn't put it marked for death unless you just knew you were going to kill it, or a scout unit or a unit of Nurglings, right? Those are worth the same amount of marked for death. So it just really depends on the armies you face. And so, from a choosing your army perspective, sometimes taking those little cheap units sounds great, but now you potentially give up secondary points on this last one.
Sweet. That is all your Warzone goodies and some little updates on our Pro Tabletop event. And that's another episode of the Procast. Thanks everybody for tuning in, watching, everything like that. So Thursday and Friday will be live, and then obviously Saturday and Sunday for Warzone. So we'll have 4 days of streaming later this week. Tomorrow we're probably just gonna have a rerun going on. So thanks everybody.
So no broadcast next week. So I don't.
No broadcast on Monday, but we'll be live at the party for those folks that are.
No, I mean I'm talking about for the Procast. We're not gonna do that next Sunday.
We're not doing that. No.
Correct.
Yeah, for Warzone, it's all Warzone this week, so we're gonna have a lot of prep before the event, and then we're gonna start early Thursday and Friday, and then we'll jump into the actual Warzone event on Saturday and Sunday. So we look forward to seeing you guys.
Thank you for being a part of it today and supporting us. We really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Good job, you guys.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. Bye.
Apologize for my tardiness. Brad. It's always nice to
Hang
hear your
on.
voice.
All right, I'm gonna try
And
to. I'll try to host somebody before
Yeah.
I go offline this time.
All right. Later.
Oh, fail. Screw it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.